Buenos dias from Gracia. This is the Rorschach Spain update from the 12th of September, 2024. Quick summary of what's going down in Spain. Starting things off this week, Edmundo González, the Venezuelan opposition leader, has fled to Spain after being accused of political crimes by President Nicolás Maduro's government. Parallel vote tabulation data of Venezuela's election in July is extremely clear that the opposition won. Maduro ignored that, pretended that he won, as did his well-armed goons from abroad as well. So González requested asylum after landing at Madrid's Torreón de Ardoz military base on Monday the 9th. His departure follows a month in hiding and growing threats and a warrant for his arrest. The result of Maduro's pretending he won the election he so clearly lost have raised eyebrows internationally, but not much more than eyebrows. Pedro Sanchez, president of Spain, called González a hero, with many international bodies, including the EU, denouncing the political persecution and continuing to dispute Maduro's election victory. Closer to home is a recent study by Spanish think tank Funcas reveals that the country needs to build 200,000 homes annually to meet current demand. Since 2021, only about 100,000 new homes have been built each year, far short of yearly targets. Housing shortage driven by a growing demand for second homes and a lack of suitable vacant properties has caused prices to rise, particularly affecting young people. Funcas calls for increased construction and urban planning reforms, and the study warns that inadequate public investment could disrupt the market further. The rental market also faces challenges with supply dropping and prices soaring. In education news, Partido Popular, or PP, plans to modify school curriculum in its governed regions to remove what it calls ideological content imposed by the national government, as they say, is more focused on feelings than on capabilities. However, national government is responsible only for 50% of the content. The responsibility also lies with the regional governments. Esther Munoz, PP's education secretary, announced the changes, citing a decline in educational quality and a need for expert-driven content. PP aims to restore subject elements such as cross-multiplication, square roots, and Roman numerals, which the party says the socialist government has eliminated from the curriculum. Munoz also criticized the back-to-school season, calling on President Sanchez to double financial aid for textbooks and school supplies. Learn more about the Spanish education system. Check out an in-depth article written by Study in Spain. Link in the show notes. While the PP fights for funding in one area of education, the government announced this week that it will pledge over 32 million euros to create nearly 3,000 new public preschools in 7 regions. Aragon, Asturias, Castilla y León, and the Comunidad Valenciana, Madrid, and Murcia will receive part of the total, which is aimed at expanding early childhood education for children aged 0 to 3. Funds come from a redistribution of just over 100 million euros returned by Andalusia, which failed to use its allocated funds to create the planned educational sites of its own. Since 2021, more than 600 million euros have been allocated to establish over 60,000 new sites in early childhood education across Spain. Spanish wages are outpacing inflation, though their growth is slowing. According to the National Statistics Institute, in the second quarter of 2024, both wages and consumer prices increased by 3% compared to last year. This marks the slowest wage growth in nearly 2 years. Despite the slowdown, rising wages, expected interest rate cuts, and employment growth are expected to boost household consumption and support Spain's GDP growth. While wages keep up with inflation, fuel prices are going down. Fuel prices in Spain have hit new annual lows, with petrol, meaning gasoline, and diesel costs significantly decreasing since September 2023. Petrol or gasoline prices have dropped nearly 15%, diesel just over 1%. A 55-liter gas tank now costs around 85 euros to fill, approximately 10 euros cheaper than the same time last year, while diesel costs around 78 euros, 11 less than in September 2023. Current prices are even lower than before the Russian invasion of Ukraine 2022, which saw gas prices soar across Europe. Diesel has remained cheaper than petrol for 18 months, and Spain's fuel prices are below the EU and Eurozone averages. Next up, the wealth tax introduced in late 2022 has been sparking concerns among high net worth individuals who are considering leaving the country. Tax targets citizens with net worth over 3 million euros, with rates up to 3%. However, according to the British publication The Telegraph, tax raised just over 600 million euros in 2022, a low amount compared to expectations. Critics argue that wealth tax often fail to generate significant revenue, are costly to enforce, and may drive wealthy individuals to relocate. From punishing zillionaires to successfully managing over-tourism, UK news outlet The Express reported this week that Spain's Theas Islands, just off the coast of Vigo in Galicia, have successfully overturned its over-tourism problem with daily visitor caps since 2017, and the numbers are looking solid. For the past 7 years, only 1,800 tourists could visit the island per day in peak season, from May to September, dropping to 450 in the off-season. Tourists also need to book ahead, obtain a QR code from the regional government website, and pay for the ferry in advance. The system's been praised for protecting the islands, but critics say broader fixes are needed for issues like housing and jobs elsewhere, especially in cities. Since anti-tourism protests have defined the summer of 2024, at least in the international media, where every expat who lives here gets asked about squirt guns, regional governments are looking to places like the Theas Islands for inspiration. In other news, President Sanchez embarked on a visit to China to discuss trade deals and restrictions. He arrived in Beijing on Monday the 9th and addressed a forum of Chinese and Spanish business leaders, highlighting that commercial tensions harm all sides of the discussion. He urged a negotiated solution within the World Trade Organization framework, stressing constructive dialogue between China and Europe. Sanchez also promoted cooperation in high-tech sectors and encouraged Chinese investment in Spain to bolster economic ties. Following Sanchez's visit, Envision Energy, a Chinese multilateral corporation, announced on Tuesday the 9th a €1 billion investment in Spain's renewable energy sector, featuring Europe's first integrated green hydrogen net zero industrial park. The investment is set to create up to 1,000 jobs, with construction beginning in early 2026, partnership with the Spanish government and industry leaders. Good news for music this week. Spain's largest trade association, Pro Musicae, reports that the peninsula saw significant growth in 2024, with music revenues reaching nearly €250 million, a 16% increase from 2023. Pro Musicae says that digital formats, streaming, dominate these figures, representing just under 90% of total revenue. Music streaming is the largest driver, representing around 80% of the market. Another week, another festival, this time for film buffs. The 72nd edition of the San Sebastian International Film Festival will be held between the 20th and 28th in the capital of Guipúzcoa province. It's one of Spain's most prestigious annual cinematic events, been going since 1953. Ending with another festival, from the 14th to the 24th, Tarragona will host its annual Santa Tecla Festival, celebrating the city's patron saint. Highlights include the traditional procession of the Brac de Santa Tecla, a relic kept in the city, and a performance of the Retaule de Santa Tecla, a typical rendition of the traditional sardana songs, originally by musical group Cobla la Principal de la Bisbal. For foodies, there's a few specialties to try, including the Brac de Santa Tecla cake, a roll-shaped cake filled with cream, and an espineta amb cargols, a stew containing snails and tuna neck. Yum. That's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in to the Rorschach Spain update. You can contact us on social media at Rorschach Spain and on Twitter at Rorschach.Spain on Instagram. Hasta la próxima.